one of the most celebrated, well, now in retrospect, institutions that came out of St. John's would be Entity.
Yeah.
And, we lost a crazy icon being Kenan Forbes. We've spoken about him before. I just wanted to ask if you have anything to say again as we remember him.
Yeah.
We also lost Teebs as well. Just to speak about AKA, man, just in his memory, anything you'd like to share.
Yeah.
And then, just to close off, I'd like you to give us the secrets to a successful and happy marriage.
Wow. So you asked me the two questions where I'm going to be longest at the end to keep
Jeez, I'm so sorry.
Okay, this is going to be like a 4-hour podcast now. No, look, man, like the AKA thing hurt a lot, I think AKA's death shook so many people who didn't even know AKA because it was just so unexpected, so violent, and so senseless. But for someone who grew up with Kenan, and for those who don't know, Entity was a rap group, and we formed this rap group together, and that was the start of his hip-hop career. He ended up going solo, but it came out of Entity. It was really tough to take because there was so much unfinished business that I felt in that moment. What a lot of people don't know is that I lost touch with Kenan probably like 10 years before his death. So we hadn't spoken for a long time, even though we were best friends at school, right? And so when I spoke about him before, there was a certain amount of resentment because I had felt like you became famous and then, you forgot about...
Too cool for us now.
Yeah, you forgot about us, right? But I realized that was very short-sighted of me. Like, and when he died in that moment, suddenly things fall into perspective and you're like, wow, these petty resentments that we have, life's just way too short for them, So I wished we could have had a chance to sit down for the last time and just talk and remember old things. But what I would like to share now, or now that he is gone, because I don't know what happened with his life in those 10 years, and we never spoke.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't know what he was like in the early years. Like as this kid, tall, skinny, who would read Malcolm X biographies like
in school,
and he'd tell us about this Malcolm X biography, and really smart, but also trying to find his place in the world. And then like he stumbles on this musical talent that he has. And you can imagine in St. John's at the time, like nobody cares about hip hop. It's not like the school doesn't recognize it or whatever, right? But because we're these Black students, and there was a group of us, initially around 6 of us, we're Black, we're at St. John's, we don't know how to fit into the world. And then hip hop becomes a way of expressing ourselves, where you hear confident Black expression for the first time, and people are unapologetically coming out and saying, this is who I am. And I deserve to be here in this world, and I'm taking my space up in the world as a Black man normally, or often. That mattered to us, and that was crucial to us to start expressing ourselves in that way. And you just saw Kenan, like you saw the emergence of greatness in terms of his musical greatness, even from those days. Like, bro, we would go out and perform in clubs. I don't know how we even got in at the age of 15. People would be like, you're not allowed to be here. We'd be like, we're performing. They're like, oh, okay. And the interesting thing is people didn't know AKA at the time. So, but I just remember him like rapping his heart out to these audiences and trying to get them on board. People are like, who are these kids? And by the end of the performance, like everyone is singing along and he's dancing on stage, and like you could see the brilliance there, the intensity. Like he was so intense. Like we used to play soccer against each other, and obviously I would always beat him.
Oh, obviously.
I mean,
Sizwe, stop it.
Yeah. But like the competitive spirit and like his dedication to want to rise to the top. And that's why it was it hurt when he got there. A lot of us just wanted to be like, you did it, you know. But he was so focused and he wanted it so much that like he shut everything and everyone out and pursued that goal, you know, no matter what it took. Yeah. But what I would also say is that because we were so close in those days, and there's also Nhlanhla, who is the third member of the group, who I keep in touch with and is an incredible person. Our families actually got quite close when we were in those high school days. So when he tragically was murdered or killed, and I didn't want to claim my proximity to him because I was like, look, I haven't spoken to the guy in 10 years. Sure. I don't know how he feels and all of that. And I didn't go to the house because I didn't want to be seen to be like ingratiating myself onto the family at the time. There were people, you know, wherever there's attention, then people start doing weird things and they try to leverage and exploit that attention.
Of course.
But one thing I really appreciated was on the day of his memorial, that public memorial that was held, I got a call from his brother, Stefan, who I remember very fondly and like who was always also there when we were coming up with our songs and whatever. And he was like, Sizwe, it's Stefan. And I was like, wow, Stefan, I'm so sorry. Like, how are you? I didn't know whether to reach out or, you know, I didn't want to impose. Oh. He was like, the memorial's today and we would really like you and Nhlanhla to be there. Please come. There's a room where the family's going to be. We'd like to see you. And like, you're not imposing. We want you to be there. Yeah. And we went to this holding room where his family was, and we saw like his grandfather, his uncles, his aunts and whatever. And they all remembered us because we had gone to stay there a time when we were performing in Cape Town and whatever. And they were like, we remember you. They were quoting our lyrics and rapping Entity songs to us. And we were like, wow. So like, we weren't making this up, right? It was a real thing that, you know, in some ways bound our families at the time. And Uncle Tony, who I have so much respect for, I was in his house all the time for like 4 years, came into the room and he saw me and Nhlanhla, and he just like, he was like happy, you know, seeing everyone. He saw me and Nhlanhla, he brought us into a hug and he just broke down and wept. And we wept. And that was a really just a profound moment because it was just a recognition of the importance of that moment in all of our lives. Like, even though we all went our separate ways, like those Entity days were intense, you know, and they were the birth of an incredible music career too. So yeah, I also just want to say like Auntie Lynn, his mother, Uncle Tony, I have so much respect for the family, even though I lost touch with Kiernan. Like, you know, I hold them in my thoughts and prayers often. And even though a lot of time has elapsed, I hope they know that, you know, I think about them, the family thinks about them, and they're wonderful people, and it's a wonderful family.